Hey everyone, how are you doing this afternoon, morning, or evening, depending on where you are? My name is Michaela Valletta, and I'm live on my IG page, The Body Scientist. I will save it and repost it to my YouTube. In case you are unfamiliar with me, I have a background in nutrition, exercise and sports science, and I've committed my life to studying all the ways we could take our body to its highest level. I'm also a sacred sexual educator, a birth worker, just everything in the realm of high-level physical performance. And so, what's up, D? So, I want to have a conversation today about the effect that vitamins A and D have on erections and wetness, vaginal health and wetness. So you could say W.A.P for woman, and erection, penile health, and sperm health. Okay, so those of you who follow me, you know that I'm a huge believer in traditional foods. I'm a believer in sourcing things naturally. Okay, and I'm always talking about the importance of animal fats. All right, I did a video recently talking about the effect that cholesterol has on I did a video on the role that testosterone plays in the sex drive of men and women. If you haven't seen that video, feel free to check it out. I'm surprised that video got 46,000 views, so I'm like, that must be a topic people are really interested in, okay? I talk about all kinds of health things, but it seems that sex sells, and that's what people want to hear more about, okay? Erectile dysfunction is becoming more and more common, all right? And also, with women, you know, you have vaginal dryness issues and vaginal atrophy issues after menopause, like during and post-menopause. Also, a lot of times after a woman has had a baby, same thing, that can happen, right? And so, just like with every imbalance and condition in the body, our nutrient stores and nutrition plays a huge role, all right? So, again, for those of you who aren't familiar with my previous work and things that I've spoken about, cholesterol is extremely important. All of our sex hormones are made from cholesterol, so that's estrogen, testosterone, progesterone, our stress hormones like cortisol, all made from cholesterol. Vitamin D, okay, which is actually a hormone and not a vitamin. Vitamin D is also made from cholesterol. Okay, I have several videos where I go into depth about vitamin D. So even when people say, oh, you can get vitamin D from the sun. Yeah, but you still need adequate cholesterol in your blood for that to happen, and probably on your skin, okay? So understand that, all right? So this is why we don't want to do low cholesterol diets, and it's known that people that get put on cholesterol-lowering medications, a lot of times probably 9 times out of 10 end up having erection issues, okay? And just hormonal imbalances in general, all right? There's a lot of myths around cholesterol. I will do a video soon specifically about cholesterol. I did one probably like a decade ago, or I don't know, maybe like 7 years ago. But I'll do an updated one. I will do an updated one soon. But in the meantime, you can definitely feel free to check out the book, or go on YouTube and type in the cholesterol myth, okay? And you can do your own research, type in the cholesterol myth. You'll find tons of doctors and scientists speaking about that. You can also check out the work of Sally Fallon, okay? And just check the books that I post on my Instagram page. The Big Fat Surprise is another really important book. But please understand, okay, if you want to keep your hormones intact, and that is for men, you know, you want to keep your testosterone levels up. For women, you want to keep your estrogen levels and everything just balanced. Estrogen and testosterone is important for men and women. But if you're not eating enough animal fats and cholesterol, you can have serious imbalances, all right? So vitamin D is important for so many things, okay? We know it modulates the immune system. We have vitamin D receptors on every tissue in our body, okay? So vitamin D modulates almost everything in every system in our body. Almost every chronic disease has some connection to vitamin D deficiencies, all right? And I'm going to be talking about some case studies as well, but I'll probably keep a lot of the case studies from my OnlyFans page. And when I talk about, case studies, like I've worked with a lot of people over the years, right? And I do in-depth evaluations. And a lot of times people are dealing with 3-4 different things. And they're all related to one particular nutritional deficiency. But because the medical community is not trained that way, they're not trained to understand nutritional deficiencies and toxicities. They don't ever think that, So you could be having 3 different issues going on and not understand is linked to one nutritional imbalance, right? So this is where case studies can become relevant to understanding that. So when it comes to vitamin D, there are studies that have demonstrated that vitamin D improve the growth and differentiation of vaginal epithelial cells, okay? And it also improved vaginal pH, okay? And decreased vaginal dryness in menopausal women. Now, the vagina's pH needs to be low, okay? So despite all this propaganda of an acidic environment is a breeding ground for disease, that's a lie. Okay, an alkaline environment is the breeding ground for disease, especially in the vagina and in the stomach, okay, where it needs to be extremely acidic, okay? The vagina needs to have a very low pH. If you don't understand pH, when you go under 7, that's acidic. When you're above 7, that's alkaline, okay? So vitamin D and also help with growth and differentiation of the epithelial cells, and the vaginal canal is lined with epithelial cells. A healthy vagina is wet, but it's also thick, and the epithelial cells are strong. As a woman starts to lose estrogen, she's going through menopause, maybe she has had a baby, and the estrogen levels decrease significantly, her vagina can thin out and dry out, and then sex becomes extremely painful, okay? Vitamin D vaginal suppositories are good, and they've also shown to help with the maturation index. So the maturation index, again, is a young vagina, okay, is meaty, it's moist, and there's ridges in the vaginal canal, okay? The vagina of a woman who's postmenopausal, the ridges are gone, the muscle becomes thin, and it becomes dried out. So vitamin D suppositories have been shown in studies to help prevent that. Now, for me, again, I never believe in taking artificial vitamins, right? So the way I would get vitamin D into my diet is through foods. When you look online, you constantly see people tell you that you can't get vitamin D from foods. They say hardly any foods are rich in vitamin D. And then they tell you to take vitamin D supplements, which are a fake artificial form of the vitamin. And it's not accompanied with the necessary fat, vitamin A, and other cofactors necessary, because for every unit of vitamin D, you need a unit of vitamin A. They work together. And that's why I'm going to talk about the role that vitamin A and D play on erections and vaginal health, right? But they're always telling people to take artificial supplements or consume fortified foods. You can get vitamin D. The richest sources of vitamin D is liver, okay? Cod liver oil, okay? Liver and liver, all right? And if you're of a certain age, you were given liver as a child. If you're of a certain age, you probably like liver, okay? I don't care where you're from in the world. Liver, number 1. After that is fish eggs, pork fat, okay? So lard. Now, of course, I'm always talking about stuff from local farms. I'm not talking about commercial food industry. Liver, I'm not talking about commercial food industry. Cod liver oil, I'm not talking about commercial food industry. Lard and pig fat. But when you're getting it from a healthy pig from a farm, it's an excellent source of vitamins A and D, as is grass-fed butter and ghee. Ghee more so than butter, because ghee is just pure butter fat, right? Also shellfish and fish eggs. Those are the best sources of vitamins A and D. Okay, so there are ways that I would assemble a suppository without using fake vitamin D. And I'm going to get more into that on my OnlyFans page. Okay, so on my OnlyFans page, onlyfans.com /The Body Scientist, I'll be going more into depth in this. Okay. But the thing is just like when you hear me talk about the skin, the same things is good for you to eat. Like you need to consume vitamin D and A, but it's also good topically. You know, that's the reason why I mix animal fats on my skin moisturizers, right? I don't just use shea butter and cocoa butter and all plant-based, because vitamins A and D is only in animal foods. And vitamin A and D are really important for skin health too. It's important for everything. But vitamin A and D is critical in the optimal function of your immune system. And your skin is a part of your immune system, right? But also vitamin A helps with skin turnover, helps your skin be more beautiful and radiant. That's why you see retinol in dermatological products, but retinol naturally occurs in the foods I just mentioned. Also in lanolin, in tallow, okay? So I wouldn't cook with lanolin, but I do mix it with other fats and put it on my skin, okay, on my scalp. Tallow, lard, lard, all good sources. Okay, so menopause is associated with a decrease in estrogen, as we know. And that negatively affects the vaginal mucosa, causes atrophy, irritation, and dryness. And the vaginal mucosa, okay? Vitamin A. The role that vitamin A plays in the immune system, okay? Vitamin D helps to modulate everything. Vitamin D acts as a hormone. It binds to vitamin D receptors, which we have in every tissue in our body. But vitamin A is responsible for the integrity of the mucous membranes, okay? For the integrity of them, for the proper functioning of them. And again, despite a lot of the propaganda that has been put out there, especially by pseudo-scientific, pseudo-Afrocentric, fake Afrocentric black people who are speaking about health and have no idea what they're talking about, like the Sabies of the world, mucus is not the root or cause of disease, okay? And mucus is actually a part of our immune system, okay? It's a part of our immune system. And milk is not mucus, because again, milk nourishes babies, so why would babies of any breed be drinking mucus, okay? So let's just get over that. But mucus is a part of our immune system. When people are overproducing mucus, if you're overproducing mucus where you're choking on it, then something is haywire and something is really irritating you, right? The mucus is trying to get it out. It's your immune system acting. Now your immune system is overacting. So now the person will have to figure out why that is and fix that. The mucus itself is not the cause of disease, okay? Now a healthy amount of mucus, because when the vagina is lubricated, what is it? It's liquid being released from the mucous membranes. So a vitamin A deficiency can cause a dry vagina, okay? And I have known women who went on a vegan diet and they talked about how their vagina dried out, and people don't talk about that, okay? Instead, you see all the propaganda saying vegans taste better and all this other stuff, which is crazy, because I'm sure no man is going to Brazil or Dominican Republic where they eat lots of meat or an African country or somewhere in Europe where they eat lots of meat and saying these women don't taste good because they're not vegans. That's ridiculous, okay? There are risks with estrogen creams, okay? So when women are going through menopause or they're postmenopausal and they're using estrogen creams and fake estrogens, there are risks with them, just like there are risks with fake vitamins, okay? That's why I always say get it from nature. Get it from nature, okay? Epidemiological data has shown that vitamin D deficiency is also associated with erectile dysfunction. Okay, vitamin D is critical for a healthy body and healthy sexuality and sex drive. Okay, and sex performance. Okay, now again, your sexual performance. Okay, for men that's erections, that is sperm quantity and quality. For women, it is vaginal wetness, decreased pH, thick vaginal muscles. All of that, your sexual performance and your body's ability to perform is linked to your overall health. We all know when people have chronic health conditions, a lot of times they have no libido, okay? A healthy person is going to have a libido, or their organs aren't working, okay? A woman's having dryness issues, the sex is hurting, a man is having erection issues. Those are also indicative of other health problems going on with the body. Okay? So, and vitamin D is a promoter of keratinocytes, keratinocyte differentiation. Okay, so that is like skin cells differentiating. Okay, so differentiation in biology means that we have all kinds of cells. We have skin cells, brain cells, eyeball cells, ear cells, liver cells. Every organ, every part of the body has cells that function differently. Differentiation is what tells it that you are an eye cell, you are a skin cell, you are a heart cell. Okay, and there's certain nutrients that are necessary for that differentiation to happen. And vitamin D is responsible for the differentiation of keratinocytes, okay, which are basically your skin cells. And proliferation, which means helping it to grow. So again, that's how vitamin D contributes to the vaginal muscles having some thickness to it. And a healthy vagina should be thick and not thin, right? In the epidermis. Okay, so this is whole body, epidermis. Okay, vitamin D is responsible for the differentiation and proliferation of keratinocytes, which is again why I like to put vitamin D on my skin. Okay, on my skin. While my moisturizers have ghee or tallow, lanolin, I always put animal fats in it so I can get that vitamin D and A on my skin. Okay. Of course, we know that the older men get, the more likely they are to get a nutritional deficiency. Not nutritional deficiency, erectile dysfunction. But I can tell you that erectile dysfunction is becoming more common. Okay, it's becoming more common in younger men. All right, I even remember 10 years ago, okay, being in a relationship with someone who was in his late 20s. And he was having serious erection issues. And I've seen it in other men, but even if you look it up, erection issues are becoming more and more common. But still, as a man gets older, like a man in his 70s compared to a man in his 40s, there's way more incidence of erectile dysfunction, along with prostate, which that's a whole nother thing that doesn't get discussed enough. And I'm going to be talking about a lot of these things on my OnlyFans page. So a lot of you have questions about things. I'm not going to be able to address everything on Instagram and YouTube because as much as I want to do more and more videos, time is of the essence. So I will be doing a lot of that there. And you can also request there's like questions that you have over there. Like I will try to address certain things here, but I can't address everything here. But on my OnlyFans page, that will be a priority to address certain things. But the other thing is that erectile dysfunction increases with age, but testosterone decreases with age. Watch the video that I did on the role that testosterone plays in the sex drive of men and women. You'll learn a lot about that. Also, the older we get, with elderly people, the vitamin D requirement is so high. Okay, so if you have aging parents, or you yourself are in your 60s, in your 70s, in your 80s, you need to be consuming a high dose of vitamin D. If somebody is, and not the artificial vitamin D, I would say get it in cod liver oil, and I would say get it from your food. Lots of pasture-raised egg yolks, liver if you can do it. I said cod liver oil, grass-fed butter. Eat as much grass-fed butter as possible. Eat fish eggs when you can, shellfish. Like eat high vitamin D foods. But the older vitamin D requirements go up, the more body fat you have, and the older you become. So for the aging and for the elderly, high levels of vitamin D critically important. Okay, one of the most important things. But if you see, it correlates aging man, more erectile dysfunction. We know you may not know, but I'm telling you, there's a high requirement for vitamin D as you age, and testosterone levels are decreasing. So again, it's showing you that testosterone and vitamin D are connected to a healthy erection. So for men, as you age, you want to keep your vitamin D levels up. You want to keep your testosterone levels up. That's not going to happen by you being on a semi-plant-based diet. And let me tell you something. The things that I know, it's not just from reading and studying and researching and reading studies, because I actually read studies. I look up studies all the time, always researching, always dissecting, right? So it's not just that, but it's also years of working with people. I've been working with clients for like 20 years now, okay? And I have worked with clients with a variety of health backgrounds, okay? There's nothing that's going on with a person that scares me, but I can't work with them, okay? Whether it's complementary nutrition, people who are on medications, people, it doesn't matter. Like, I've worked with a wide variety of people, and I'm open to working. But I've seen a lot of things. You know, when someone has done something for 20 years, you know, like, there's a lot they've seen over that time, all right? So, because of vascularity, like erectile dysfunction is connected to an issue, you know, with vascularity, and that's why when men have erectile dysfunction, a lot of times it is indicative of a heart issue or other health issues going on. Okay, so erectile dysfunction is accepted. It's actually accepted as a marker of coronary endothelial dysfunction. Okay, and arteriosclerosis. So coronary endothelial dysfunction, okay? We have there's endothelial tissue in the lining of the arteries, just like there is in the vagina, right? And in the penis, too. Thank you for the compliment. I'm the same age as Beyonce and Kelly Rowland, okay? And Serena Williams. We were all born 1981. So that endothelial tissue is all connected. So if a man's having endothelial dysfunction, that can also be related to coronary endothelial dysfunction. And we know heart attacks are a big thing, okay? And I can tell you right now, saturated fat and cholesterol is actually good for your heart. All I can do is tell you to look at the books that I recommend, look up what I'm telling you, look up on YouTube, watch my other videos, because a lot of what you're being told is healthy is a lie. And when it comes to your health, what you don't know can hurt you. You know, you may think you're doing the right thing. You may have every goal to age gracefully and to be healthy. And you think that eating all the salad and green juice or whatever it is that you eat is good for you. Fake butter. And you do that for 10 years. When it comes to your health, what you don't know can hurt you. It can kill you, it can hurt you, make your life a lot shorter. Okay? So that's why I don't respect people who push out propaganda for money. I don't respect people who speak on things that they don't know and they haven't researched. There's a lot of people speaking on nutrition who don't have a background in nutrition. Everybody and their mother thinks they're a nutrition expert, and they keep reciting propaganda, okay? So, there are vitamin D receptors in every tissue in the body, as I said, and that includes the penis, okay? That includes the penis. Just like there are cannabinoid receptors there. And I'm going to do a video about how cannabis affects our sexual health and orgasmic potential and stuff like that. Look out for that soon. But there are vitamin D receptors in the penis, okay? And once vitamin D binds, because vitamin D binds to receptors the same way cannabinoids bind to receptors, right? Once vitamin D binds to a vitamin D receptor, it affects the genome. It affects our genome, okay? So it has genomic and non-genomic functions, okay? Meaning that genes can be turned on and off. That's why nutrition affects our genetic expression, because there are things that can bind to receptors in our genes and turn certain genes on, turn certain genes off, and mutate our genes. All of that can happen, right? That's the area of nutrigenomics. Nutrigenomics has to do with how nutrition affects our genes, okay? According to the Human Genome Project, we have 20 to 25,000 genes, okay? And at least, to their knowledge right now, at least 3,000 are affected by vitamin D, okay? Also, okay, this is very interesting. There are studies that have shown that vitamin D is also connected to the structure, the architecture of the penis, okay? So there are studies that were done where a rat or an animal was given a vitamin D deficient diet in utero and postnatal, perinatal, postnatal, and it affected the whole entire design of the penis, okay? So vitamin D is critical, and vitamin A and other nutrients, right? Critical from the time that we're in the womb. And this is the thing that, you know, parents need to know, is that what you eat prior to conception, as a woman and as a man, what you eat prior to conception affects the health of your child. But also as a woman, what you eat during pregnancy really affects the health and the outcome of the child. You know, so like there's not enough discussion about the importance on, you know, nutrition and reproduction. There's not enough discussion on that. It's kind of just like, oh, eat whatever and you'll have a healthy baby, or we'll see what happens. Like, babies don't come out unhealthy for no reason, okay? They absolutely don't. So understand that vitamin D is necessary for even the structure of the penis, all right? And this has been shown in various studies. So yes, vitamin D is required for the proper anatomical development of the penis during embryonical life. And in the studies that show where the in utero, the animal was given a vitamin D deficient diet, and postnatally, the changes in the structure of the penis that were observed are changes that will definitely contribute to erectile dysfunction. Okay. Another important mechanism of action of vitamin D is that it helps with the production of nitrous oxide. All right. So nitrous oxide is really important. Okay. Really important for endothelial, for the dilation. Okay. Of our endothelial tissues, opening that up so more blood can flow. If a man is having erectile issues and there's constriction there, opening those endothelial cells up allows more blood to come in. Okay, so nitrous oxide, and it's interesting, I was talking about case studies, like I was recently working with someone, well, I probably shouldn't have said that, but there was somebody that I worked with, okay, where he already had autoimmune issues. I'm not going to get into it, but rare autoimmune issues, was having erection issues. And when a man's having erection issues, there can be various reasons. Sometimes it happens because a man is depressed. That can also affect that. You know what I'm saying? So there's multiple reasons. But when I work with clients, I look at the whole person. I do a very in-depth evaluation. I ask a lot of questions. I dig deep. And I look at specifics of things. Like, you can't just tell me you eat eggs and bacon for breakfast. I'm going to say, what kind of bacon? Turkey bacon, pork bacon? Where'd you get it from? Did you buy it? Did you cook it? What brand is it? What kind of eggs are you using? What kind of fat are you cooking it in? Are you cooking it in Pam? Are you cooking it in Country Crock? Are you using butter? Are you using coconut oil? Like, what are you using? You know what I'm saying? Or you drink coffee? Okay, what do you put in your coffee? You put in creamer? You put in cream? You put in sugar? You put in artificial sugar? Or are you using instant coffee? Like, I need to know the specifics, right? And that's how I really can tell where somebody is with their diet and what's going on with their health, right? Yeah. So activated vitamin D stimulates the production of nitrous oxide in the endothelial cells and nitrous oxide synthesizing enzyme. Okay, so basically vitamin D is responsible for increasing that nitrous oxide. And you see so many men who are like trying to figure out, how can I increase the nitrous oxide, vitamin D? Okay, and the thing is that, yeah, this person that I was telling you about, like, of course, he's been to several doctors, and, you know, he had a few children who had several health problems, okay? Very serious health problems. And when I'm looking at what he's been eating, and he thinks that he's healthy, he works out all the time, you know, and he thought he was doing a good job of what he was eating. And I'm looking at it, and I'm like, there's no wonder why there are these health problems in your children. There is no wonder why you're having some of the issues you have, because I could look at his diet and it was absolutely inadequate. There was so many problems with it. But if you listen to the regular health hype, you'll think it's fine. You know what I'm saying? And so I put this information out. Oh, it's snowing here. It's snowing here in Chicago. Gotta go to the gym. I put this information out for those who want it. I can't save the world. I can't try to convince you. I know that I'm up against very powerful machines that are here to brainwash you all about what's actually healthy. I know that a lot of things you hear me say is not common. But I'm not the only one who says it, right? I am a health science nerd. I'm always reading research. I have been for over 20 years. You know, and the more that I've gotten scientific expertise and knowledge, I've been able to dissect even more and make connections. But a lot of healthcare practitioners don't do that. They want to keep their license, they go to school, they get indoctrinated, because a lot of times school indoctrinates you. So because I do have a background in academia, I did learn a lot from my degrees. I use that scientific knowledge to be able to look up studies and look up and research and dig deeper and use my critical thinking skills and put things together. Most practitioners and stuff are not doing that, okay? They're just doing the bare minimum of what they learned in school, follow this protocol, and when you work for a hospital or something like that, you can't go outside the box anyway, right? So this is the reason why I'm always going to recommend books and other very knowledgeable people who are talking about this for you to look at. And it's up to you. If you care about your health, if you care about the health of your children, you care about the health of your parents and other people in your family, check out what I'm telling you, okay? That's all I'm going to say. Vitamin D also affects androgen receptors, which we know are testosterone receptors. I'm going to go more into that on my OnlyFans page, okay? And in my class, okay, I have a Kundalini strength training class for men as well. So that's also a part of my class, going more into depth into that. So either in the class or on my OnlyFans page, I will go more into depth about how vitamin A affects androgen receptors, okay? Also, vitamin A is essential for healthy sperm and structure, okay? So sperm can be mutated, it can have odd shapes, it can be slow. So in order for a man to, and one of the things, and this is one of the things I get into in my Kundalini strength training class, one of the things that is important for men as a measurement of health and longevity, okay, is sperm quantity and quality, okay, whether you want to have kids or not. But of course, if you want to have kids, it's important. But regardless, okay, quantity and quality of the sperm is important. And what's found is that in men who are vitamin A deficient, the motility and the structure of the sperm is just not as healthy, not as efficient, not as fast, all of those things, okay? So yeah, that's all I got to say for today, all right? So if you haven't seen my videos, I've done videos on vitamin A and D in the immune system. I've done videos on vitamin A and D for babies and prenatal and like growing children. I think, I talk about it, how it's important for your skin, topically, all of that, but it's also important for your vaginal health and your penile health, okay? Very, very important. And yeah, so I'll go more into depth in that on my OnlyFans page. I have other offshoot videos. I have classes for men and women that I'm developing right now that I've taught in the past, because for women who are having vaginal dryness issues and for women who are having like orgasmic issues, the vagina is thinning out, the vagina is getting dry, vaginal eggs, yoni eggs, nani eggs can also help with that. And so can cannabis, okay? Applying cannabis internally. So all those things. So my approach to the body is always targeting multiple things. Like you can use herbs, but nutrients are the backbone, the building blocks of everything is nutrients. The herbs can come in and assist. But, what I'm seeing a lot, even in the cannabis space, is people using cannabis medicinally, but their nutrition sucks. Okay? Yes, I do still sell nani eggs. I have an Instagram page, nani eggs. I just need a personal assistant who can market all my shit, because I've got a lot going on that I can't even keep up, and I'm always trying to research, and I don't feel like making flyers and the website and all that. But yes, I do still sell eggs. You can find it on my Instagram page, nani eggs. That's a huge thing. It's also good for women who aren't going through menopause, like women who don't have dryness issues, right? If you don't have a dry vagina, working with the egg will only make it wetter, right? And wet vaginas are good for your health. It's good for vaginal health, okay? The lubrication that women secrete is important for maintaining the microbiome in our vagina, okay? And which keeps away infections and stuff like that, okay? So having a moist, meaty vagina with ridges, okay, in the muscles, as opposed to thinned out and dry and atrophied, all right? So that's all I need to say. Vitamin A, vitamin D, important for erections, okay? Important for sperm health, important for vaginal health, and the function. Okay, so it plays a huge role in our sex drive. Feel free to check out my video on the role testosterone plays on the sex drive of men and women. And pretty soon I'm going to do a video on cannabis and sexual health. Even though I did do a video some years ago called Cannabis Orgasms, that video was focused more on, I'm like, maybe I should just add it into this video, actually. I was going to do a separate video, but I'm here. Why not talk about it, right? So the same way I said that we have vitamin D receptors on every tissue in our body, same thing is true with cannabinoid receptors, right? And our body produces cannabinoids. Like you find phytocannabinoids, exogenous cannabinoids, which is CBD, THC, THCA, CBDA, CBN. There's all these different cannabinoids, right? And they bind to cannabinoid receptors. Actually, mostly THC does. Like CBD does other things. But our body also produces cannabinoids. They're called endocannabinoids. And our body produces them from animal fat, okay? From arachidonic acid. Arachidonic acid occurs in meat, milk, eggs, animal fat, okay? Again, another reason why we need animal fat for our health and longevity, okay? Animal fat is critical. If you're on a diet, people always put meat and animal foods in the protein category. I don't even be thinking about the protein. You don't even hear me talk about protein that much. I mean, it's important, but fat is so important. And animal fat, critical for your brain, okay? Critical for your hormones, critical for your skin, okay? Critical for your sexual function, like all those things, right? And cannabinoids are also, so the endocannabinoids are made from arachidonic acid, which comes from animal fats. Then there's something called PEA, which is like an endogenous CBD that we make. That's very similar to CBD, whereas anandamide and 2-AG, which are, I know I'm probably over the head of some of you, but anandamide is an endocannabinoid that our body produces. That's similar in structure to THC, okay? But then there's something called PEA that our body produces that's similar in structure to CBD. PEA is made from palmitic acid, which is also heavy in animal foods, right? So on the penis, there are receptors for cannabinoid receptors. There's also cannabinoid receptors on ovaries, like in the sexual organs of women as well. Uterus, okay, which is why a lot of women, like, I know when I'm on my cycle, I smoke blunts because that is what helps me feel better. Like, I don't have horrible cramps or anything, but I be feeling bloated and uncomfortable, and smoking blunts is the one thing that helps me just feel better, okay? So has a long history of being used for women's womb issues and vaginal issues. But I will tell you that taking a cannabis, some women claim that smoking weed helps to make them feel more aroused. It doesn't do that for me, but a lot of women do claim that. Now, part of that could be because it helps women to relax, and a woman needs to be relaxed in order to enjoy sex and to really open up. A lot of men don't understand that, okay? But if a woman is using a cannabis-infused oil, like cannabis-infused coconut oil, topically on her vulva, on her clit, it actually helps it increases the blood flow to the area. And so what happens when we're aroused, in men and women, when we're aroused, the blood rushes to the genitals, right? So it's just not as evident in women unless you're really present and staring at it, right? It's not as evident as it is in men. So when a woman uses cannabis-infused coconut oil or oil on her vulva and clit, it really makes a woman a lot more aroused pretty quickly, okay? And it's because of all that blood flow, which can then lead to increased wetness, right? And coconut oil, I'm going to talk about coconut oil. Coconut oil in itself is super antimicrobial. It's antiviral. Coconut oil is known to kill lipid-contained viruses, okay? If you don't believe me, go look it up. I can send you studies. I can tell you books. But I've known this for like almost 20 years as well. But I come across it in my research all the time by people who have PhDs in nutritional biochemistry or whatever, because this is known. It's just that the average person doesn't go read studies, and these companies aren't going to tell you this because they can't make money off of it. But coconut oil, the lauric acid in coconut oil, kills lipid-contained viruses. What are those? That's the C19 virus. That is the herpes virus. The HIV virus. The HPV virus are all killed by lauric acid, okay? And so using coconut oil in the vagina, on the phallus before penetration. All of those things can help with vaginal health, prevention of infections, all of those things, right? But also, when you add the cannabinoids are also super antimicrobial, super antiviral, okay? Killing viruses and bacteria of all sorts, okay? And there are other things too. I have videos where I'm talking about vaginal and penile health. So if you want to know more about vaginal and penile health, definitely check out that video. Because I could go on and on and on with this. But the cannabinoids also have very potent properties like that as well. So when you're combining the two on your genitals, it's really helpful in maintaining the microbiome of the penis, the skin, the microbiome of the vagina, keeping it healthy. But it makes women's orgasms a lot more intense. I just did a Clubhouse conversation on this a couple nights ago. So, and I'm going to be doing more. So if you're on Clubhouse, find me at Makeda Valletta. If you're not on Clubhouse, you should join Clubhouse and find me at Makeda Valletta, because I'm going to be doing more conversations about this. But the conversation I did a couple nights ago was archived, and it was a pretty in-depth conversation. And you can hear women talk about their experiences. But it makes a woman so much more orgasmic. Now, for men, according to the textbook, okay? Now, for me, I look at... Now I'm wishing I did this in a separate video, but I already started talking. Because I have so many things, and I'm like, oh yeah, I have to say this. Oh yeah, I have to say that. According to the textbook, I don't just go by textbooks. I also go by anecdotal evidence, because scientists don't understand everything, right? So what people are also telling you is valid, right? But according to the textbook, it says, oh, it doesn't affect men in the same way. And I found that hard to believe, because I'm like, men and women have similar, like, if it increases the blood flow to the area, if a woman puts it on her vulva or her clit and it's increasing the blood flow there, it should increase the blood flow to a man's penis if he puts it there too, because that's what it does, right? And there are receptor sites all around the vagina and the vulva like there is on the penis. So it should have similar, to me, that's what I'm thinking. Now, I've done my own little independent research, which is not scientific, in my life, over the past few years. And I've noticed that some men, and it may not be from the coconut oil, it could have been, maybe he was nervous, or maybe, I don't know. But I'm just going to say that in my experience, and some men don't calm down enough and chill out enough to pay attention to even what's going on. So that could also be a thing. But I have found that it seemed like with some men, it didn't help their erection. It maybe made it go away. And then with other men, I feel like it made it a lot more intense for him, and the orgasm is a lot more intense for him too. And when I speak to friends of mine, or people I know, friends of mine who they have used it with their husband, they'll tell me that he also was a lot more sensitive and had stronger erections and orgasms. But again, everything affects people differently. It's kind of like, a lot of people love beer. I hate beer, Beer makes me feel terrible. I don't really like wine because it makes me sleepy. Like if I'm going to drink, I'd rather drink vodka or whiskey or something over like beer and wine. But some people can't drink dark and light. I can drink dark and light. It doesn't bother me, right? So things affect people differently, so you kind of have to see for yourself, right? But studies have shown that men and women who smoke cannabis have more sex, okay? There are many different studies that have been done around this. Men and women who smoke cannabis have more sex. So that's been shown, okay? Those who don't. So you could say maybe it's playing a role in the sex drive, okay? But applying it topically, can definitely help a woman be more orgasmic. So for the men out there, if you have a woman, yeah, doctor, I don't like beer either. So for the men out there who may have a woman, because I had a friend who hit me up about this, because the woman he was with was having issues, and I'm like, you can do a yoni massage, okay? So yoni massage, if you don't know what that is, you can look it up too, but it's a very gentle, loving, delicate massage of the vagina, the vulva, the vagina, the whole, everything on the outside and everything on the inside. But it's not rough, it's not rushed, okay? It's not with the idea of, I have to give her an orgasm. And men a lot of times think they have to be super rough, because men are super rough with their genitals. No, it's all about, you know what, I read in this book, somebody, and I felt like this was the best analogy, where this woman had told this guy that when he's going down a woman, or approaching the woman's genitalia or the clit, that that you should think about licking honey off of, I think it was like licking honey off of the wings of a butterfly, or licking honey off of like flowers, something like that, because there's a certain amount of firmness you need to have, and a certain amount of gentleness you need to have, and a certain amount of awareness and connection you need to have, right? And so if you know how to approach in that way, and you're using cannabis oil, it can really help a woman become more sensitive and a lot more orgasmic, okay? And see, somebody who's speaking right now loves giving yoni massages to his wife. She's lucky, okay? Men, if you really care, because I feel like a lot of men don't care, but if a man really cares about pleasing a woman and just, or even being healing for her, because women do go through a lot, especially after childbirth and stuff like that, yoni massages are very healing. And then if you combine cannabis oil with it, even more so, okay? And women, you can also do suppositories. You can put them on your eggs. I put cannabis oil on my eggs, and for the health properties, but also then I'm like, oh, I get more aroused. And the egg itself is arousing, but you put cannabis oil on the egg and it's even more like. And so somebody had asked me if I know where I can, to get cannabis infused coconut oil. Yes, you can hit me in the back channel. I have access to a very good quality one that's actually made in the Midwest, actually. The person who asked me that is in Michigan. It's actually made there, so hit me up. But yeah, so I guess I'm gonna ask you guys, if you are a cannabis consumer, whether it's you smoke it, you eat it, you use it topically, how does it affect your sex drive? Because, men and women, I want to know, because, just independent research. So if you want to share, feel free to write it below on my Instagram video. Feel free to follow me on YouTube and write it there too. My YouTube page is Body Scientist 81. And I hope you guys have a good day. All right. Take care of yourself. Remember, health is wealth, and life is too short not to be having good sex. And, the health of our sex drive and our sexual organs affects our overall health. It's indicative of our overall health. Okay. All right, people. Have a good day. Bye.